because you're overtaxed to death.
Have a good show.
The state, well, give up. Why are you giving up? There you go. You're giving up, so you must be a liberal. I don't know what the heck you are. But I can tell you right now, in New Jersey, you're being taken. You're getting taxed to live in death. You got tax on everything over there. Your car insurance is insane. I mean, you can almost buy a house for the car insurance you pay in New Jersey and the homeowner's insurance. Now, that state is off the charts, same as New York. So any liberal state, like I said, Michael, all these places that are run by Democrats are run right into the ground. Am I lying?
No, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. Let me ask you a question here, because we're almost out of time here. I'm going to have to let you both go. We've got another caller waiting on the line here. We all know that we got lied to by the government and the corporate media regarding Saddam Hussein's nuclear weapons, Assad's sarin gas, and so many other things. What makes you think they're telling us the truth about the job numbers?
Michael, that you know what, I couldn't even debate you on that, because you maybe, I don't know. I don't know anything too much. I don't really follow the job numbers as far as it pertains to my lifestyle, but from what I'm hearing, the media says even some OAN, which I trust more than any news network. I don't trust Fox or none of them, Michael. I'll tell you, One American News is the only network I trust.
Okay, well, Tom, we're out of time. Tom, we're out of time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go back to the phones now. The lines are loading up here. Dan in Illinois. Aloha, Dan. Thank you for waiting patiently through that Dustin Tom debate. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, I'm still here. Well, I started out with one. Now I got two. Dustin mentioned government workers. I heard there was 25,000 census workers, which are actually temp workers that were hired.
Yeah.
So they won't be sticking around too long. Then I watched a video about the damage in the Bahamas. I can't remember which island. It wasn't the big island, but it was one of the other ones. And
Yes.
the guy drove around and he says, there are no police on the island, but they did have police forces. He drove around. There was no police anywhere to be found. Because that's what he did. He did a drive around. And the last thing, I might have called up about this before, but my uncle and my dad worked at a company in northern Illinois here that made, let's say, sensitive lenses, and I don't mean for microscopes. And there was 3 different times they caught the Israelis spying on them. This is back in the early mid-'80s when they didn't have computers, so they had to have people there to actually be spying. And they caught them 3 different times. So they haven't stopped what they were doing.
No. I mean, there was a big scandal. Some years ago in San Francisco, there was a big scandal when the ADL was found to be spying on Americans and sending the information back to Israel.
Yeah, they got it. They got their big network going here, and I think they're afraid to do anything about it.
Probably because
they don't know.
I mean, if Epstein was part of the Mossad's intelligence gathering apparatus, then he's got the blackmail goods on a lot of very important people in the United States of America. And basically, short of a complete replacement of the entire government, that's going to be a bit of a problem. But it's not like Israel's the only country that spies, but they do so much of it. If you'll remember, shortly before 9/11, Carl Cameron over on Fox News did a 4-part story where the FBI had uncovered the largest single foreign spy ring ever found in the United States of America, spying on behalf of Israel. And then, of course, the Fox News commentators had to chime on in and say, but there's no evidence that this Israeli spy network had anything to do with 9/11.
Yeah, well, of course they don't have nothing to do with it, but I have firsthand experience, I guess, firsthand knowledge of this happening because my father told me of this. And he said 3 times they caught the Israelis there spying. Like I said, this was early mid-'80s, and they didn't have computers, so they had to have boots on the ground doing something in this building, and they made some very sensitive type lenses, and that's what they were after. So I'll let you go. I know you're busy.
All right, thanks an awful lot. Yeah, it sounds to me like lenses are being made for like the early keyhole satellites or something like that. Anyway, let's switch over to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Real bad. I'm starting to get a real bad vibe about the 18th anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah.
First of all, they're bringing the Taliban into focus again with these failed peace talks, just in time, like they did before. They were bringing them up, and Osama bin Laden up before the original 9/11.
Yes.
And what really bothers me is the numerology. I mean, it's 18 years. It's going to be 18 years from 9/11. That's 6 plus 6 plus 6, right? 666. It's also 2 9s. The date is 9/11/19. And I know how I'm not like into this Luciferian occultism, but the people that rule the world that pull these kind of acts off, they are. I mean, it's their gang signs. And I'm just going to tell I'm going to be up on the alert, and I'm even before and after this, because I just got a bad feeling when I start looking at the numerology involved in this 9/11. And it's going to be Wednesday, and the old nursery rhyme, Wednesday's child is full of woe. It's the only one that's kind of bad. So
yes,
I don't, like I said, I don't, this is, it would, and like I say, you got the Israeli elections coming up, Trump with the election, I don't know, the economy, they could all blame it all on an attack or some kind of fiasco. So I don't know, this one's got me a little bit, my hair's on edge, because like I said, the original 9/11, we all know, was a government, false flag.
Yep.
And, well, they'll pull it again. I mean, who knows what they're, we know what they're capable of.
Yes.
And they got away with it, and so go back to their gang, their bag of tricks. So anybody that's in law enforcement or any kind of government agencies that are listening, and that you really want to be careful, look for chatter, alert everybody that you can, because everybody's got cell phones. Try to, record what happens on television if anything starts, looking fishy, because
yes.
we did great work, alerting the public and informing the public about 9/11. It's all out there for anybody that wants to know. And the question is, do you want to know? That's what I learned from the original 9/11, is that, it's all out there. If you really want to know, you can find out the truth about 9/11. And when the government commits a criminal act, don't expect it to ever be like given government sanction or admitted to or publicized. So
no, they're still defending the official story of the Kennedy assassinations, and I certainly hope that you're wrong. But at this point, I get a sense of desperation from the government, that they've lost control of the people, that they've lost control of the narrative, and that, they may be desperate enough to try something like that again. But you're absolutely right. Everybody should have recorders set up on their TV sets, because any videos that don't support the official story will be deleted from the internet. It's already happened over on YouTube. A lot of the great videos about 9/11 have already been erased over there, and all that's left are the videos that pretty much support the official story. I think that really good one that I'm blanking on the guy's name. 9/11. He did this video animation. And I think that one is still up there. It would be a little bit obvious if that one were to go away. Anyway, listen, Joe, thanks a lot for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Robert in California. Aloha, Robert. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, aloha, Mike. We'll start with, how was your move? You're kind of settling in good over there?
Well, we're currently staying with family, and it's a beautiful place. And we're supposed to be moving into our new place the 1st of October. And we were talking with the rental manager, the realtor, early today. And so it looks like it's a done deal. But the old tenants are still there. And then there has to be, a clean out. And she's talking about possibly needing to replace some of the carpeting as well.
Well, by the sound of it, you've got your ducks in a row. You've got a pretty good handle on the idea of what's going on there. Hey, the first reason I called in, if you don't mind me going on a 20-second rant here, and then we'll get to the reason I actually called. Look, that little Dustin Tom thing that you guys just did there, I don't mind hearing the opinions of folks here on the network that maybe perhaps disagree with one another, but I do have to hear from Dustin a lot, and I'd like to give him some good advice, since he's always calling in about responding about everybody's comments. So, hey, Dustin, I know you're still listening, and you really need to find a more polite way of communicating with folks. See, it's kind of impolite in a debate when you've already made your point and you're listening to somebody's response. If you disallow them the chance to prove their point, and then your strongest argument ends up being repeating their name over and over again until they just give up and listen to you again. It's bad form, brother. If we have to listen to you all the time, please just man up and do this responsibly, because we're all trying to do the same thing. And so, okay, my rant's over. The biggest reason I called is because we're looking at a real mess in a lot of areas here in our news. God, you've covered a bunch of it today. I'm sure you've probably got some more to go, so I'll try to get out of your hair fast. I think the biggest thing that I'm really worried about right now is, well, it's a combination of two things. I think that this stomping upon our Constitution that the government's doing here, and it's continuation. It's not like this just started. It's just getting kind of publicized right now. And the geopolitical problem with us failing to get along with everybody out there in the rest of the world. So pick one of the two and let's go from there.
Well, the reason the United States is not getting along with the rest of the world is they don't want to. Very clearly, the United States government has decided that the only way they can avoid a Soviet Union-style collapse is to basically try and take control of as much of the world and its resources as possible. And we know that originally that was part of the plan behind the wars in Iraq. General Wesley Clark blew the whistle on that, I think, back in 2005. Where he said there is this plan by the United States government to invade or regime change every one of the oil-producing nations in the Middle East in order to keep that oil selling for the U.S. dollar. And
yeah, I love the comment when that particular order came across his desk, and he's like, "Wait, why are we doing this?" And they were like, "Well, I don't know. We're just doing it."
Yeah. I'm only following orders.
Works.
Yeah. So anything else?
All right, go ahead. Well, no. I think I said my point. I'm sure Dustin may have a response to it, but I'll be listening.
Well,
I probably won't respond.
Dustin, don't call in. You've had your two. Do not call in again. All right. Well, Robert, we're going to let you go, and we're going to switch over to Scott in California. Aloha, Scott. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I'm also calling about those two guys you just had squabbling. And I just wanted to read two sentences out of Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley. And you probably have read it yourself. It has to do with the elections.
Yes.
But it's probably worth hearing. Can I read it?
Sure.
Okay. This is Professor Quigley, who they say knew more about how the world works than anybody alive. Okay, here we go. The argument that the two parties should represent opposed ideals and policies, one perhaps of the right and the other of the left, is a foolish idea acceptable only to the doctrinaire and academic thinkers. Instead, the two parties should be almost identical so that the American people can, quote, throw the rascals out, unquote, at any election without leading to any profound or extreme shifts in policies.
Yeah, that sounds like a good way to run a country.
Yeah, that's what we got. Okay, I'll let you go, Michael.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Todd in California. A lot of callers from California today. Aloha, Todd. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm not too far from smelly downtown LA.
Okay.
And, that's cool. Well, I wanted to call in about a few items. I'm turning 55 in a few days.
Okay.
And the double nickel, I actually did not think I'd make it, to be quite honest.
Yes.
From all the things I've done. I was in the Marines. I've rock climbed. I've done a lot of stuff in my life, and I swear to you, I never thought I'd make 55, and I'm glad I'm going to. But what I wanted to say was that I'm with you 1,000% on the non-show of the lies of Donald Trump. It certainly reminds me of Bush 1, there will be no new taxes, that kind of thing. And I think really what we're starting to see is the disillusionment of the entire U.S. citizenry against the politicians, the governors. And there's a book out there by Dr. Marvin Olasky that wrote about the it's like 3 volumes about the Revolutionary War and some of the things that were leading up to it. You know, not only of, you know, soldiers being warehoused in people's private homes and stuff, but, you know, what you see today, you can't own anything. You can't own your home. You can't own your car. You might get to keep the shirt on your back, you know. And I've lost faith in the police. They're bought out. I've lost faith in any sort of quote unquote department that, you know, when you have 600 departments and every single one of them has their own inside police force.
Yes.
I mean, that's including the Department of Education. We saw that here in California, 2-3 years ago. Okay. You know, them going after that young lady that owed some money and she wasn't there. And they broke that door down and hauled that man out in front of his 2 children. And, you know, it's over. And I do hope that everybody else sees that. I don't buy it one bit. I don't buy the church garbage anymore with the 501c3. And when I see people laud and fawn over people like Trump, I literally begin to think that they've lost their mind. You know, we clap, yes, but fine. Where's the action? Where's the arrest? Where's the propensity for all these years before he got there of saying all these things? We've seen the videos. Yes, we have. Of all these things he said that he felt about America and this and that and this and that, but it's all garbage. I think it was all fanfare and all part of the theater that he had to play for him to come and wait for his turn to be president. Okay?
I absolutely agree. Anyway, Todd, going to have to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Republic Broadcasting Network depends on listener support of our advertisers and of our sponsors. We'd like to especially thank all of you who have taken advantage of our fundraiser with FrontSight Bonus. Those who are now FrontSight members, please train as soon as possible for your sake and for that of our nation. And please consider sharing your training and what you've learned when you arrive home. Republic Broadcasting Network has to stop promoting this fundraiser on air and on the website in just a few days. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, president of FrontSight, made a gracious exception to his no media rule for us at Republic Broadcasting Network. Thank you, Dr. Piazza. And once you've been to FrontSight, feel free to call your favorite host and share your experience on the air. We can continue this fundraiser without media help, but it'll be totally up to the listeners to spread the information. Please call Dan Sutterfield in Missouri at 573-465-2356, 573-465-2356. That's 573-465-2356.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And if you do call in, please keep it civil, allowing Dustin and Tom to have their little dialogue was an experiment on my part, which I'm declaring an abysmal failure. And we're not going to repeat that unless we have a guarantee of civility here. Getting on back to the international news, Iran is starting to use arrays of advanced centrifuges, which was prohibited by the 2015 nuclear deal, and is now threatening higher enrichment levels. Now, they're still insisting they're not seeking a nuclear weapon, but they're basically saying, 20%. And you can't build a bomb out of 20%. But it's basically symbolic because of Trump's unilateral pullout from the Iran nuclear deal and the fact that Europe so far isn't really coming up to the plate for their commitments for the nuclear deal either. Now, Mike Pompeo is out there saying that the EU nations must take decisive action against Iran for daring to use these centrifuges and daring to threaten higher rates of enrichment. Again, this is the path to war with Iran, and Pompeo is trying to get other people to get on board with it. Now, Foreign Minister Zarif is saying that Iran's commitments reduction is actually allowed under the Iran nuclear deal, that apparently if the other signers fail to fulfill their commitments under Article 36 of the deal, that Iran is allowed to basically say, yeah, we're allowed to walk away from our commitments as well. So Iran is trying to say we're playing by the rules here, and Mike Pompeo is out there saying kill, 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 kill. All righty, we're going to take another phone call. Tony in Puerto Rico, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
You're saying aloha? Hello, yeah, you're saying aloha and you live in Indiana. Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
listen,
trying to think of something else to say, but so far, I came up with or actually somebody sent in Who's Your Daddy, but apparently there's a bunch of bars with that name and one band in the area, so I don't want to step on somebody's trademark. I hear you. I've had people who've emailed me saying, stay with Aloha America, it's your trademark, and if anybody asks what's going on, well, you did the show from Hawaii for, 12, 13 years. And that's the trademark.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Mike, yesterday I was listening to the program, but I didn't understand too much about the Amazon. My question is this: if the Amazon were to be wiped out, how would that affect climate change on this planet?
Well, there'd probably be a small change. There'd be a disruption in the weather patterns over that part of the planet. There'd be a lot less moisture being put into the air. In fact, given that rainforest tends to be built on very thin layers of soil, we might see it go into desert. Okay, Tony, stay on the line. I'm going to come back to you after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Mike back on. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Tony in Puerto Rico. And we're talking about the Amazon, specifically the jungle, that has been on fire for a while now. And of course, the liberals are blaming it on global warming. Apparently, some people were caught deliberately setting the fires, whether it's being done to make Brazil's president look like he can't control his own country, or it could even just be people who want to clear cut the land for more housing tracts. In fact, if you look at the Amazon very carefully through Google Earth, you'll see areas where it has been completely stripped, and you can see the streets and the avenues and already being laid on out there. What's really interesting is you're going to see these solid geometric shapes that are still jungle. These represent the territories of the indigenous people who have, basically made deals saying, this is our territory and you stay out. Anyway, Tony, so what would happen if the Amazon rainforest were to disappear? Well, there wouldn't be a lot of rain in the area because trees put moisture into the air. And the global warming people like to go on over to Africa and point at Kilimanjaro and say, look at how the snow cap has shrunk on the top of Kilimanjaro. That's proof the world is warming. Actually, no, it isn't. It's proof that logging was deforesting the trees around the base of Kilimanjaro, which meant there was a lot less moisture going up the sides of the mountain to freeze during the wintertime and keep that snow cap on there. So you always have to examine the science very, very carefully on these things. But would it be a catastrophe? for everybody that lives in that rainforest? Yes, it would be. It wouldn't be the end of the world for the rest of us, though. And I know that the environmentalists like to scream that the Amazon is the lungs of the planet. And there's no question that, yes, it does contribute a lot of oxygen to the atmosphere. But by far, the largest contributor of oxygen to the atmosphere is the ocean.
Yeah, I understand that. Now, what about hurricanes? Would they be more severe?
That really is not affected by the Amazon. That's really affected, obviously, out there in the hurricane birthing zones in the Eastern Pacific, pardon me, and the Eastern Atlantic. And that has to do with how much temperature difference there is between the surface and the upper atmosphere. And the warmer the surface or the colder the upper atmosphere, the more powerful the storms will be.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike. Have a good day.
All right. Same to you. Now, getting on back to the international news, we were talking about Iran. And as it turns out, Iran has seized a ship with a Filipino crew for alleged fuel smuggling in the Gulf. This was caught by Iran's Coast Guard, and they've seized this foreign tugboat that was carrying 284,000 liters of diesel. Now, they're not saying what national flag the vessel was flying, only that the crew were Filipino. So it's going on out there. The United States has issued a statement that they will, in fact, sanction anybody who buys any oil from Iran. And I guess the memo came out a little bit late because the tanker that was briefly held, and then they tried to bribe the skipper to sail it to a country. Iran has announced that its cargo has now been offloaded. And nobody is saying how it was done or where it was done, but their oil was offloaded. They have succeeded in making some money from their oil and basically breaking the blockade of the United States. So now the United States is threatening to sanction anyone refueling the Iran tanker. And basically saying that where it is currently berthed in the Mediterranean, there it shall stay. So it's the U.S. is really turning into this international bully. Now, National Security Advisor John Bolton is commenting on the acting IAEA chief's visit to Iran and basically making all kinds of false accusations against Iran, as usual, with zero evidence to back it up. So in a tweet on Saturday, Bolton accused Iran of concealing nuclear material and or activities amid the visit by the acting chief of the agency. So he's basically out there trying to undermine the IAEA when they come on back and say, Iran is doing X, Y, Z. There's still no evidence of a bomb being built. And Bolton can say, well, you guys were obviously idiots if you couldn't find the evidence. And by the way, they've tried that propaganda before. When inspectors couldn't find anything, the U.S. propaganda response was, well, you're dummies. You got fooled by Iran. We know they're doing all these things. You just couldn't find them. In the conflict between Yemen and Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia has suffered a loss of military personnel and mercenaries in a retaliatory missile strike carried out by Yemen's army soldiers and fighters from allied popular committees targeting positions in the southern region of Jazan. And basically they used 6 domestically developed Zelzal-1 missiles, that's Iranian for earthquake, and they were fired at these Saudi strongholds. And they make a point of saying domestically developed because every time Yemen fires a missile, the corporate media says, oh, Iran is obviously supplying these. Iran is the bad guy. Iran is supplying the missiles. No, Yemen is building these things themselves. Another thing that is complicating the situation over there in Yemen is apparently there is a lot of friction between the Saudi and UAE forces in South Yemen, both sides talking as if they view each other as enemies. And it's gotten so bad they could actually start another war there in South Yemen between the Saudis and the UAE, which I'm sure the people of Yemen would think was a good thing. All righty, and apparently analysts are saying that U.S. support for the Saudi war in Yemen has become a political liability, and that the reason Donald Trump keeps talking about wanting to pull out of it, the reason that Congress wants to vote to pull out of it, is they're seeing it as a political disadvantage for the coming election. And this is coming from Keith Preston, chief editor of AttackTheSystem.com. So then you have the war hawks who are out there saying, no, we have to keep helping. So it's not really Saudi Arabia's war against Yemen. It's our war against Yemen because they refuse to live under U.S. puppet rule. Years ago, we spent a lot of money and a lot of other people's children's blood putting in a puppet government in Yemen, and those ungrateful Yemeni people just kicked it out. Over in western Iraq, a convoy of over 100 U.S. military trucks crossed the border from Jordan, carrying large amounts of arms and vehicles to Ain al-Assad base. Now, nobody knows why they're there, what they're going to do. U.S. officials are refusing to comment, but it does look like the U.S. is getting ready to do something there. Over in Libya, military commander Khalifa Haftar is pressing on with his 5-month offensive to capture Tripoli. And in an interview in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday, General Ahmed al-Misman dismissed the internationally recognized Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj as powerless and negotiations as futile. And so the people of Libya want to have a Libyan running their country, not an internationally approved, internationally recognized prime minister. I mean, what a ridiculous concept that is. I mean, that didn't even exist when I was a kid. The ruler of a country has to have the permission of all other countries. So the other day we were reporting on how, the U.S. military has deployed in Guyana, effectively completing the military encirclement of Venezuela. And apparently, last Wednesday, the Trump regime earmarked over $120 million for Colombia. Now, this is masquerading as humanitarian assistance for Venezuelans in the country. But if you remember what was going on in Central and South America in the 1980s, was the CIA's paramilitary wars. And the money that was going down there, it's for humanitarian aid. No, it wasn't. It was for bombs and bullets and torture devices. And that's where the South Americans' contempt for the American people comes from. Mucking about with their country. Pakistan is now vowing the fullest possible response to India over Kashmir. I would take that seriously. Pakistan has nuclear weapons and missiles to deliver them. Here's an interesting little article. And it's basically saying that America loses the Asia Pacific as full spectrum dominance continues to fail. And yeah, they never really got that to put together. Now, U.S. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper made some candid remarks that America's INF pullout was timed for a targeting of forces against China. He said, we want to make sure that we, as we need to, have the capability to deter Chinese bad behavior. Well, the next obvious question is, who has the ability, the capability to deter American bad behavior? Because it looks like America's really the bad behavior specialist. We're the bad boys on the block. So another analyst is saying that, yes, the United States, in quitting the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, is preparing to take on Russia and China. And apparently they've already got modifications they've made to the Trident II submarine launched ballistic missiles. And the USS Nebraska received the first series of improved Trident missiles in 2013, dubbed D5 Life Extension. The missiles have improved range and electronics and would remain in service until the 2040s, unless, of course, they get used. Over in Hong Kong, and fueling the suspicions of those who think the United States is behind the protests there, pardon me, the Hong Kong protesters are urging Donald Trump to liberate Hong Kong. They did a march on the U.S. consulate, and basically the protesters were heard calling for President Trump to liberate the Chinese-controlled territory. Now, is this a put-up job? Is this going to be the excuse to go to war with China? It does seem like we're getting rid of, and again, one of the reasons that Claire and I left Hawaii for Indiana is our former domicile, looking out the back patio, porch, window area, overlooked Pearl Harbor. And I'm keenly aware, I'm sure you're all keenly aware, that U.S. entry into World War II began at Pearl Harbor. And so I had a very, very real concern. If we get into a shooting war with Russia and China, that Hawaii will get hit. And a lot of people I talked to in Hawaii had the same concern, but they weren't ready to leave yet. All right, this is right out of Dr. Strangelove and those last closing scenes here. U.S. experts are proposing having artificial intelligence control nuclear weapons. Boy, this comes right out of, forget Dr. Strangelove. This is right out of Skynet, the Terminator. So they want to give artificial intelligence control over the launch button, figuring that the human chain of command might not be fast enough. That is a very, very scary situation, especially given the poor quality software that our military-industrial complex produces. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense is giving up on particle beam weapons. They're still pushing hard into directed energy technologies, particularly lasers, but neutral particle beam weapons are just being abandoned. They can't get them to work. They're not going to get the long-range lasers to work either because of thermal blooming. But hey, it's money for the military-industrial complex, and that's all that really matters right here. All right, let's talk a little bit about the economic news here. Now, BRICS is kind of stalled, and part of the problem is the social intolerance and brutalism delivered by Captain Bolsonaro of Brazil. But in its place, we're now seeing RIC, Russia, India, China. They're pulling together. They're forming their own coalition. It's alive and well and thriving, and they're getting ready to continue on the Silk Road project. Meanwhile, China has boosted their gold reserves by nearly 100 tons. That is a lot of gold. Russia, as we head into the winter, is boosting gas supplies to Europe while still working out a transit deal with Ukraine. That's showing a lot of good faith. Another little piece of good news from Russia, Ukraine. They've arranged a prisoner swap. So maybe common sense is starting to break out over there. Saudi Arabia is going to cut oil production in an attempt to send prices up across the globe. And they're doing this, as the U.S.-China trade war stokes fears of a worldwide recession, which, the indicators are definitely there, possibly in the next year and a half. All righty. Apparently over in North Alabama, one of the schools there removed the bathroom stall doors specifically to combat vaping. Apparently the kids are sneaking into the bathroom. Well, they're walking into the bathroom, and once they're in the bathroom stall with the door closed, they get out and vape. And there is no odor. And unless you've got one of these huge vaping devices, if it's just a little e-cig, there's no detectable smoke. So the North Alabama school just decided they were going to deal with that by taking the doors off. I can imagine some parents are probably going to be a little upset with that. Now, the other day we were talking about how this dean over at the University of Alabama had come on out with a comment saying that the American flag represents a systemic history of racism for my people. And this was like one escalation step up from the story we had about the Betsy Ross flag being asked to leave a sporting event, or the people who were holding it. Well, apparently that dean at the University of Alabama has now resigned. His comment provoked a huge backlash, as it should. I shared that story with a lot of people around here, and they were just absolutely incensed. Yes, there's a lot of bad things that are connected to the flag of the United States of America, but there's a lot of good things as well. All right, we got to take another break here for commercials, and we will be right back with the rest of the program.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And we're going to take a phone call from Ed in Utah. Aloha, Ed. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Actually,
Appreciate it.
Mike in the control room, can you play some music? I got to do something really urgent.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and
Sometimes I wonder what this world is coming to. Just turn the TV on, read the morning news. How did we fall so far? How did we fall so fast? Honor gone. His glory past. Some days I can't escape. The sense of hope.
I'm back here now. I apologize for that. But all of a sudden I had an urgent need to go to the bathroom, and I knew I wasn't going to make the next commercial break here. All right, so we're talking with Ed in Utah. Ed, what's on your mind?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I wanted to talk about Epstein. I first want to ask you, as I asked to Robert last night, on the alternative media and nearly nothing on the mainstream, no follow-up at all about the mental background of Torah, the supposed shooter there in Midland, Odessa, Texas. And so I just wanted to, I guess, put in a mild request to you, if you come up with anything on Torah. It seems strange. The police initially didn't even want to give his name out.
Yes.
So I have some suspicions. They're using the excuse they're saying about the Cruces shooter in El Paso. They're saying, well, we don't want to give them notoriety. That is a lame excuse. They don't want people going to the search engine or finding out about these people's backgrounds like we did on Cruces, whose father, as you know, was MK Ultra and even Manchurian Candidate training. So anyway, if you do come across a Tory, if you could post it on what really happened, I'd sure look at it.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, and I called you about Epstein. I just want to commend RBN in general for tying so much together. Here, this blackmailing billionaire, here he was blackmailing American politicians into silence about 9/11. And Whitney Webb, that posting on RBM, that is just absolutely amazing. I've seen her on other things on realnews.com. She doesn't look, Mike, but mid-30s, a brave gal, American, living down in Argentina. I don't know what's behind that. If it's just the way where she's at, or if it's part of her protection, I don't know. But I do know her reports are on the writing level of Wayne Madsen of the Village Voice, formerly.
Yes.
And and reminds me a little bit of Pat Buchanan. She's a good writer. But anyway, to tie in Epstein, he's the Rosetta Stone to all of this, Mike, in my view. The blackmailer of 9/11, the man that's now maybe involved in this brain mapping, which they're going to bring up next week or even later this week in Congress on the gun control, to brain map and do criminal behavior predictive measures. And they're using that company that she pointed out, Cordine 9/11, which he was the sole financier of, Epstein. So I just wanted to kind of put out in words what I'm reading on the different websites, mainly RBN, RBN with that link to Whitney Webb, and your commentary.
Well, my commentary is basically we don't actually know who Epstein was blackmailing. I mean, that's the whole issue of this judge agreeing to release a whole bunch of these files. But it's obvious that Epstein set up his Manhattan home, his Florida home, and that little island in the Caribbean. They were definitely set up to lure the rich and famous in, tempt them with sex with underage girls, and get it all on tape for blackmail material. And, you know, I mean, they had people, again, like Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton, fell into that honey trap. And so it's kind of hard to say that we don't know that there's anybody who didn't fall for the honey trap. It's not just politicians, it's business leaders. Was he involved in silencing people on 9/11? Could be, maybe. We don't actually know. Anyway, listen, Ed, got to let you go. Got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs. Memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Now, when the open borders started happening and the refugees were pouring on in, and everybody was talking about impacts on the economy and impacts on our culture and our history, one of the issues that a lot of people raised was there's a health threat here. These people are not being screened for illnesses. And, you know, at first they were talking about things like scabies, H1N1. Now it's getting really serious. We are starting to get diseases from the dark ages re-emerging. Now, one of those is typhus. This is a disease carried by fleas that feed on rats, which in turn feed on the garbage and sewage that is prominent in these people-packed typhus zones. Now, although typhus can be treated with antibiotics, the challenge is to identify and treat the disease in resistant, hard-to-access populations, such as the homeless or the extremely poor in developing countries. So as we're seeing more and more of these communities of homeless and illegal immigrants, typhus could spread faster than it could be cured. Now, Dr. Mark Siegel of New York University's Langone Health Center is concerned that we may see an outbreak of leprosy among the homeless people. Now, again, leprosy can be cured, but it can spread faster than the doctors can keep up with it. Now, leprosy is not particularly contagious. It's got a low R0, but the combination of poor hygiene, a lack of shelter, and inaccessible medical treatment among the homeless creates a perfect condition for the disease, according to Dr. Siegel. Left untreated, leprosy can cause blindness or permanent disability, and Central and South America have more than 20,000 new cases a year, with sporadic cases continuing to be brought across our southern border undetected. So it's happening. It's really happening. The liberal open border people, they don't care if you get typhus or if you get leprosy. Or maybe they're hoping that it will be confined to the conservatives. I'm not really sure about that. Over in India, there's a big brouhaha being raised over the BT cotton. Now, BT cotton was the first genetically modified crop plant to be approved for commercial cultivation in India. And farmers were encouraged to use these magic seeds. And the reality is it was a disaster. The BT cotton turned out to be less resistant to variations in hydrology than the natural variety. And a lot of crops failed. A lot of farmers lost their farms. A lot of farmers committed suicide. There was a big, huge problem there. But the government of India, with Modi at the head of it, is out. They've literally been running a propaganda campaign to convince the people of India that BT cotton was a success after all, and it's part of this current program to adopt a new range of GM food crops, amounting to what would be a full-scale entry of GM technology into Indian agriculture. So Monsanto is out there just pushing what they can push, or whoever BT cotton is manufactured by. And again, it's a dangerous technology. It's being marketed recklessly. And again, even when there's an obvious disaster, it's hushed up, it's covered up. Oh, the newspaper says this is a huge success, let's plant some. Now, up in Canada, this is an interesting story, and it actually made the American corporate media. Up in Canada, there is the world's deepest mine, the Kidd Mine. And it's the deepest spot ever explored on land, and the reservoir of the oldest known water. 7,900 feet below the surface. We're talking roughly 1.5 miles, in permanent darkness and in waters that have remained unconnected with the surface for up to 2 billion years. It turns out the mine is teeming with life. Now, scientists had previously said nothing could live in these conditions. You have to be in the ocean. There has to be sunlight. You have to be on the surface. There has to be oxygen. That's life as we know it. Registered trademark. But last July, a team led by University of Toronto geologist Barbara Sherwood Lawler reported that at the bottom of this mine, there's a population of remarkable microbes. And the way they are surviving, they don't need oxygen because they breathe sulfur compounds. Nor do they need sunlight. Instead, they live off chemicals in the surrounding rock, in particular, the glittery mineral pyrite, commonly known as fool's gold. Now, interestingly enough, the life that is living around the deep ocean thermal vents, which are also away from the sun, they also breathe sulfur compounds because that's what's pouring out of the ground there. And I mention this story for two reasons. One, we have to stop thinking about life on other worlds as being just like us, on planets that are just like Earth. Class M is what they called it on Star Trek. Because as we find more and more of these extremophiles just on our own planet, it is very obvious that life is going to evolve under all kinds of conditions. As long as there's an energy source and some kind of liquid medium, sooner or later, a self-replicating molecule is going to form, and that's the beginning. That's what starts the chain of life. Now, the other reason I wanted to mention this is because of a theory I've had for quite some time, and it has to do with the life forms around the deep ocean vents. Because a lot of people are saying, how did they get down there from the surface? And how did they learn to survive so quickly? Well, I think we've got it backwards. I think the cradle of life here on the surface began in those deep ocean vents. And we know from the work of Dr. Robert Ballard, every once in a while, those deep ocean vents will shut off. They'll collapse internally. And you'll see a lot of the remains of the ecosystem on the ground. But what if, bit by bit, some of these life forms did find their way to the surface and did learn to live on oxygen? I mean, if you look at the life forms down there on the thermal vents, a lot of them are very strange. We don't see them here on the surface, but a lot of them are very familiar, like shrimp, crustaceans. So there's definitely a connection there. And I really do think that a case could be made that life actually began in the deep ocean. Not just the shallow ocean, but the deep ocean. And then eventually made its way on to land. But this is an exciting story. I mean, you've got these microbes breathing sulfur, eating sulfur, and eating iron pyrite. Okay. All righty. Over in Sweden, Professor Magnus Soderlund of Stockholm School of Economics is out there pushing this idea that humans should learn to accept cannibalism again because eating each other is more sustainable than the meat industry. This guy's serious. So he's out there saying that, we should consume the dead bodies. Now, not the first time in history it's happened. Polynesia tended to eat their dead, more for religious reasons than nutrition. But that's how wacko this whole liberal, green, ecological movement is becoming. Now they want us to eat each other. And I understand that throughout history, there has been a lot of instances of various cultures engaging in cannibalism. Virtually every major racial group of the human race at one point or another in history has engaged in this kind of behavior. All righty, here we go. And let's see. There we are. Still having to deal with Windows 10 here. All right. Apparently, the United Nations head of global communications says America has no right to protect its own borders and that migrants have a right to cross anytime they want. Really? Who gets to say that? I don't recognize the United Nations as having that kind of an authority over us. Okay. David Stockman is looking at an unprecedented collapse of the global financial system. Well, yeah, because it's all based on private central banking, which is all based on the idea of creating money out of thin air, loaning it into circulation at interest, thereby building up more debt than money with which to pay the debt. At some point, it does have to collapse, and I think we're getting close there. Apparently, somebody's floating the idea of bicycle licenses, license plates for bicycle, for which you would pay the local government a fee. There's been a new study that is finding a strong link between glyphosate and human liver disease. Yet one more strike against glyphosate, but by golly, it's making us money. We gotta keep it on out there. Okay. Apparently the CIA is in damage control mode over a report that it extracted their top spy from Russia, fearing exposure, aided by Trump. So human intelligence is still going on here. College kids are increasingly wanting to be paid in gold. And there are actually a few companies in this country where the employees are paid their weekly salaries after taxes in gold coins. And they really kind of like that idea, especially right now with the U.S.-China trade war. Gold prices are going up. There are some people saying they could hit 3,000 by the end of the year. All righty. Apparently, the state attorney generals unveil a sweeping antitrust probe against Google on the steps of the Supreme Court. Well, hallelujah for that one. It's about time. And they're pushing for the breakup of Google. And I think that would be a good idea. And we could have lots of little Googles, or Googlettes, if you will. And yeah, these corporations, they have too much power over what we're saying. And by the way, I got an email saying that apparently whoever it was who compromised Google and YouTube and Twitter, they're now at work on the other alternative search engines. They're trying to slam that gate as hard as they can. Okay. We already talked about that. University study finds that fire did not bring down Tower 7. Alrighty. So we're getting close to the end of the show here. So let's start talking about 9/11. Wednesday's the anniversary. 18 years it's been. And it's one of those events that sticks with you. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was awakened by a phone call. Somebody said, turn on the TV right now. And I turned it on just in time to see the second plane at the second tower. And they were rambling on about Osama bin Laden. And I had already noted that Osama bin Laden was being pre-sold on the corporate media for a month in advance. This guy was just everywhere and hadn't really done anything. But, oh, he's evil. He hates our country. And the instant I saw that impact, I said, this is fake. This is absolutely fake. And everything that has come out since then just reinforces that. This latest report from the University of Alaska confirms one of my earlier conclusions. Building 7 fell straight down into its footprint because all of the load-bearing members were sheared off at exactly the same time. Don't forget, we have those photos that show the scars of cutter charges on the load-bearing members. They're just hoping that American people are too dumb to realize what they're looking at. Wrong on that one. So then there was that BBC News presenter was standing in a skyscraper just uptown from where the World Trade Center was, talking about the collapse of World Trade Center Building 7 while it was still standing there behind her. 26 minutes before it actually happened. BBC was asked, how did that happen? They say, we don't really know. And in any event, we've destroyed all those tapes. And that was nonsense. I've worked in TV news long enough to know you don't destroy original video footage. It's a gold mine because it will be licensed and rented over and over going into the future. All right, we're going to take a break for our final commercial break, and we're going to be back with the last segment of this program after these few words.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And I'm just putting up one of the 9/11 stories that we have at the website. And this one is about shaped charges and the signs of demolition on the load-bearing members of the World Trade Towers here. Okay, so there we are. Okay, there we are. So that'll be up on the website as soon as it clears the cache. And I'm going to start posting a lot more of these things in the next couple of days here. But Wednesday is the anniversary. And I know after 18 years, a lot of people are saying, you know, who cares anymore? But there we go. All righty. Boy, this Windows 10 machine is such an annoyance. I think once I'm in the new home and back to using my main studio, I'm going to turn this into a Linux box. Because it is just way too much. Alrighty. All right, so 9/11, we know it was an inside job. We know that certain people knew it was going to happen ahead of time. And we had Dick Cheney there in the Pentagon, just sort of watching that airplane come in to hit the Pentagon. And we had the anyway, we had the obvious propaganda campaign out there, like, oh, there was no plane at the Pentagon, you know, and you guys are all kooks and loonies and stuff. And I think probably it was at that point they began to realize that they had, in fact, lost control of much of the narrative. And so, but I do remember it like it happened yesterday. I'm sure probably you do as well. I remember the day we found out Kennedy had been shot. I was playing in the schoolyard at the school in the farming town where I grew up. These things do stick with you. And on the basis of this hoax, we got launched into World War III. Just like on the basis of the hoax at Pearl Harbor, we got launched into World War II. And it seems to happen over and over again. And I'm in agreement with that guy who called in earlier to the show that we need to be very careful that we're not being set up yet again for a false flag. All right, there we go. And here comes the rest of the family. By the way, your dog is getting his own or her own fan club. All right, so we're coming up here on the end of the show, and hopefully we'll have. Well, yeah, there's the music. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. And please take what you learn here, share it with everybody that you know. Please donate to RBN. They really need the help right now. There's no question about it. And donate to whatreallyhappened.com. And we'll just see you all tomorrow.